Here's what they did. What they found was that there was a group of real estate agents that was able to increase both the number of property appraisals and the number of subsequent contracts they wrote by arranging for the reception staff who answered customer inquiries to first mention their colleagues' credentials and expertise. So here's what happened. It's a real estate firm, and people would call in. So the only modification they made was the person at the reception desk would speak to the colleague that they were about to connect them to their credentials. So for example, if customers were interested in properties that were downtown, the reception person would say, well, let me connect you with Sandra, who has over 15 years experience with properties in the downtown area. Okay? Or here's another example. If customers wanted more information about selling properties, they were told to speak to Peter, our head of sales. He has over 20 years of experience selling properties. I'll put you in touch with him. So here's what the impact was. Just by changing the script on what the reception person said as they transferred the call. Here's what they found. The impact of this expert introduction led to a 20% rise in the number of appointments and a 15% increase in the number of signed contracts. This is not bad, considering there was no cost to make the change, and really all they were doing was, in the mind of the consumer, in the mind of the prospect, was to say, you're being connected to an authority. You're being connected to an expert. That is what we're trying to, in the mind of the markets and the clients that we want to serve, is to elevate our status.
Yes.
Right? Is to elevate our status so that when they think of you, and they think of maybe this farm area or a geographic area, or perhaps it's a niche, right? So maybe you're in the empty nester niche, right? That they immediately think of you as being an authority on that topic, as being an authority on the skills that are there, because you're the expert. So let's talk then about, because people trust experts, this concept of positioning yourself.
But Chris, I don't have a receptionist who answers the phone and will say that about me. Well, that's not what this is about.
No, when they did that study, I mean, that was probably before the internet or whatever, right? I mean, so when they were doing that study, they was very controlled telephones and so on and so forth. The beauty of what we have available to us today with the internet is that a big part of being an expert is, one, being the expert, right? You need to have the market knowledge.
You have to have the market knowledge, the expertise, and the experience.
And the skills, right? And then you have to declare that to a group of people. And lo and behold, that is what constitutes the actual being of an expert. Now you might say, well, is that how it actually works? Well, yeah, I mean, it's like a doctor, right? A doctor goes to school, they go through their residency, and then they declare, I'm a doctor, I'm open for business, right? I mean, like, they're now an expert in the health domain. Now, you can have increasing levels of expertise, but in terms of, even to become a doctor, right? Just going through the school, just going through the residency, and getting the MD or whatever they get, the thing after that, makes them the expert, makes them an expert.
Right. But there are systematic approaches to making the announcement and continuing to have that brand as an expert.
Well, there's two ways that we're going to do it, and we'll get into it in just a moment, but I want to share with people the two primary ways. And the first one is by marketing real estate and being in an association with the actions that are selling real estate, right? So the more we market real estate, that produces evidence to the people who are seeing us market real estate that we sell real estate. So the other thing is to share your expertise. Right. There's a lot of different ways that we're going to get in to do that as well, because here's the thing, is that by marketing real estate, one of the things that happens is they see you marketing real estate. So what happens? Oh, Garry sells real estate. I mean, like, that over and over in their mind is affirmed and confirmed that you sell real estate, that's part of the experience part in creating in the mind the perception of an expert, is seeing you do that. The other thing is being able to see you give your advice. That's where your expertise is getting involved, and where they can really experience the results of your expertise in advance without having worked with you yet. And we're going to get into that as well. But I want to talk about what is necessary in order for us to position ourselves as a listing expert. You mentioned this earlier, and it is how the skills necessary for helping people buy real estate, is different than helping somebody sell real estate.
Absolutely, and I think everybody here would agree to that.
You guys agree with it. Here's the thing. This is why you might help somebody buy a home, but they don't come back to you to sell it. Now, it happens. It happens, trust me. But it happens, I think the last time I looked, it was about 22% of the time. 22% of sellers worked with their previous agent who helped them buy the home.
Only 22%.
And it's because the competence, they did not have trust in your competence to sell the home. They did not believe you were an expert enough.
Well, and
to
so
sell
here's
their
the thing
home.
is that the consumer understands that there are different skills required to sell a house than to buy a house. And if they don't believe that we have that because we have not positioned ourselves as an expert to them yet, we're going to lose that business.
Yeah, this is where assumption is the hidden thief in getting this repeat business and even word of mouth and referral business from the group of people that we've served in the past, or just people in our sphere of influence, is that we assume, we make the assumption, even though we already know that it's a different skill set, we assume the client doesn't know this, right? And that is a huge mistake. And the stats back it up. It's why, yes, you might get people saying, hey, we've been thinking of selling your home. Are you interested in doing that? But it happens less than, right, 22% of the time on average is how frequently that happens. So here's more than likely what's taking place is you help somebody buy the home and they believe you have the competence to do that. But when it comes to sell that home, or even more frequently probably when it comes time where they're going to have a conversation with somebody that they know, and there would have been an opportunity for some word of mouth business or word of click business take place where they would advocate for us, doesn't take place because they're like, oh, you're selling your home? Oh yeah, I don't know if, maybe I shouldn't see anything because I don't know if Garry actually can do that because, you know.
So basically what's happening there is somebody else is positioning themselves as just enough of an expert to take that business opportunity away from you.
And here's the thing. We talked about building market share. They live in a neighborhood. You help them buy that home in the neighborhood. But they're driving around and they see somebody else's signs in the neighborhood. They're online and they're seeing someone else's ads demonstrating their competence of marketing real estate in the neighborhood. They see a video. They're getting exposed to this other person who seems to really know what it takes to sell a home in the area. And that's different. And that's what we have to work to overcome here in this concept of positioning ourselves as a listing expert. Because in doing so, what we do is we increase our clients, our past clients, our sphere of influence, our geographic farm's confidence in our ability to list and sell homes.